Hey guys, my name is Bedrick Studios, and after seeing the absolutely beautiful movie that is Transformers 1, which you should definitely support and watch in theaters if you can, I decided I had to make something from that movie. So here we have Megatron. Here he is in vehicle mode, and boy am I proud of it. I spent a lot of time making sure each part ends up in the same position as they do, just so that it would be more accurate to the movie. As you can see, his shoulders round out and form the back, the treads in the front are formed up by the legs, and his chest ends up being the front of the vehicle. I had to cheat a little bit with this section here, because the tops of the forearms are what's supposed to be shown up here, but due to transformation, it had to be the thighs, which you don't really notice all too much because they have a similar shape to them. The U-Tank vehicle mode holds together pretty well because it has a lot more tabs than most of my usual builds. The turret can rotate about that much, 90 degrees total. And he is a bit hollow from the underside. From the outside, you can't see that much robot kibble that isn't supposed to be there. For size comparisons, here we have Leadfoot, Grapple, and Ultra Magnus. So in vehicle mode, Megatron is about the size of a large Voyager. And as a little bonus, these are all my Transformers 1 figures, which is not many. Overall, his tank mode is just awesome. On to robot mode. The transformation on Megatron is pretty complex and can get a little fiddly at times, especially with the treads and parts in the legs. So to start off, we're going to unclip the barrel and remove that. Separate the arms from the torso, and these sections can just fold back like that. Sorry, most of that was off camera. The arms fold back, these sections fold back, and the top part also folds back. Just opening up the tank mode as much as possible. Then we can unpeg the legs and rotate them around and begin work on transforming those. These panels are going to rotate up and to the side, unclip the foot, and hinge that out. Then it will swing around on a rotation, fold the foot forward, and this panel back. Then it will hinge again at this hinge here, not the knee. And this side piece will tab into a port on the leg. And everything will fit together pretty nicely. Same thing on the other side. Then just straighten the legs out like this. And we can start working on the torso. Rotate the waist to the side, giving this panel enough clearance to fold forward. Get this set of hinges so that it is folding forward. And this piece will sort of lock this into place somewhat. Not fully, but it will give it a lot more security. Then rotate the waist to face the other direction. Fold the hinges together. This piece goes up. Arms drop to the side. And finally, you can straighten out the waist. Then the chest will fold up, tabbing into that little spot there. For the arms, you're just going to rotate it at the bicep. And we're going to finish off with the backpack. Fold out the head. It will rotate and then flatten everything out like that. And the head will hinge down into place like so. Finish off by putting the arm cannon back on. And here you have Megatron in robot mode. In robot mode, Megatron just has an absolutely commanding presence. I really love the look of these nice rounded off shoulders, and the absolute bulk of the chest is just awesome. I tried to make the arms as accurate as possible, but I think they are a bit too thick. I probably would have made them thinner, but it makes the vehicle mode a lot more cohesive the way they are now. The detail on the thighs is very minimal, but very accurate, along with the kneecaps and shins, which are very flat in the movie. He does have a little bit of detail on the side, but most of that is just for the treads. And his feet, they're standard feet. Taking a look at the head, some of the longtime viewers of this channel may notice that this is the exact same head sculpt I used on my G1 Megatron I made maybe 2 years ago. As you can see, the back treads fold away nicely into the torso and don't poke out that much, except for up here at the top, which just gives his shoulders a more commanding presence. He does have a bit of a backpack, but I feel like all things considered, it's really not that bad. One detail I did have to leave out was his hip skirts. I wasn't able to fit that in just because of how the waist assembly gets positioned in transformation. There wasn't enough room to fit that in. For accessories, he has his standard Megatron fusion cannon, which, as you've seen in transformation, is removable, and there are only pegs for it on this side. Articulation time. He has an up and down at the head, and also a pretty good range of looking left and right. His shoulders can go out and in a tiny bit. It is very restricted there, but he does have a full 360 rotation right there. There's an elbow bend as well as a 360 rotation on the ball joint. No articulation at the wrists. For the hips, it has this sort of butterfly joint that's mainly just there for transformation. They can go forward that far, back that far, pretty far out for a split. At the knees, he has a pretty deep bend along with a full 360 rotation, and the feet can pivot forward slightly. So overall, he has a fairly decent amount of articulation, nothing too exceptional, with the difficulties of no far out turns at the shoulder. Also, as a little bonus, I did build his original form without the cog as D-16. He has a pretty standard range of articulation with a full 360 at the head. He can look up and down, ball jointed shoulders, which give a weird butterfly because of how they're positioned. Elbow bends. This one does actually have wrist swivels, believe it or not. A little bit of an ab crunch and an arch at the back. Hips can go forward, back, out, in, knee bend, and foot pivots. And I think these two, despite not being on screen at the same time, look very nice together. You got the young D-16 right next to the more battle-hardened Megatron. For size comparisons, here we have Leadfoot, Grapple, and Ultra Magnus. So overall, D-16 is about the size of a Deluxe, and Megatron is about the size of a Voyager. And yet again, as a bonus, here are all my Transformers 1 figures. To finish off, I think this is an incredibly fun figure. It transforms well, both robot and vehicle modes look extremely accurate and dynamic. And while the posability could use some work, everything else about this is just awesome. I have been Bedbrick Studios, and I'll see you next time.